Many dog owners never realize what they miss. You haven't said anything. You haven't moved in any direct way. From the outside, nothing about the situation seems strange. The room is the same. The space between you and your dog is the same. Even your posture hasn't changed in a way anyone would point to. And yet, your dog is already responding. They change their weight slightly, as if adjusting to something that hasn't been announced. They pause mid-action, holding still for just a second longer than usual. Or they start to move toward you, quietly, without being called, without being invited, without any clear reason to do so. If someone else were watching, they might not even notice it. It's that subtle, but for your dog, it isn't subtle at all, because the change didn't happen in what you did. It happened in what you brought into the moment. Something unstated, something unplanned, something that never needed to be expressed out loud for them to detect it. And by the time you become aware of anything, they've already reacted. Communication and control. For humans, communication feels like something we control. We trust in words, gestures, deliberate signals, things we choose to express when we want to be understood. There's a clear beginning and a clear aim behind it. However, for a dog, understanding doesn't begin there. It begins earlier, before language, before conscious signaling, before anything we would normally see as communication. It starts in patterns that don't have identifications. Patterns that aren't taught, but felt. The way your movements connect to each other, or don't. The timing between your actions, whether it flows or breaks. The subtle tension you carry, even when your body appears still. To a dog, these aren't background details. They are the structure of everything. They don't separate what you do from how you do it. They experience both as one flowing signal. So even when you believe you're being neutral, or calm, or consistent, there are layers beneath that belief that still come through. And those layers are what they respond to. There are some days when you move in ways that look exactly the same, but feel completely different. Your steps follow the same path across the room. Your hands make the same motions. You sit in the same place, at the same time, in the same posture. But something is slightly off. Your pace is just a fraction slower, or slightly rushed. Your stops last a little longer than they usually do. Your attention changes, not dramatically, but enough to break the flow of continuity. Nothing about this would stand out to another person. It's too small, too internal, too difficult to catch. But your dog notices, not as a thought, not as a judgment, but as a change in rhythm. And rhythm, for them, is everything. When the rhythm changes. Because when that rhythm changes, their behavior changes accordingly. Some dogs become more alert. They lift their head more often, scanning without knowing exactly what they're scanning for. Their ears adjust, not toward a sound, but toward a feeling that something is not the same and ordinary. Some dogs move closer than usual. They position themselves within reach, not out of need, but as a way to stay connected to the source of that change. They monitor, quietly, without interrupting. And some choose distance. Not dramatically, not fearfully, but with a slight withdrawal. A step back. A decision to observe rather than engage. From the outside, these reactions can seem inconsistent, even random, but they're not. They're responses to something that isn't visible, but is deeply felt. This is why two people can perform the same action and receive completely different responses from the same dog. One person reaches out, slowly, gently, exactly the way they've been taught. Their movement is careful, controlled, intentional, and the dog hesitates. Another person reaches out without thinking about it. Their movement is less precise, less controlled, maybe even slightly careless. And the dog leans in. At first glance, this doesn't make sense, but from the dog's perspective, it has nothing to do with technique. It has everything to do with readability. One movement feels continuous, easy to follow, internally consistent. The other feels segmented, slightly uncertain, slightly interrupted, carrying small fragments of hesitation that break the flow. Not wrong, not bad, just harder to interpret. Clarity is comfort. And to a dog, clarity is comfort, not perfection, not obedience, not control. Clarity, the ability to anticipate what happens next, not because they've been trained to expect it, but because the pattern makes sense on its own. When your actions follow a rhythm, they can understand, they relax into it. They don't need to analyze. They don't need to adjust constantly. They simply exist within that pattern. But when that rhythm becomes inconsistent, even in very small ways, they don't become confused in a human sense. They become attentive, more aware, more observant, slightly more distant, or slightly more attached, depending on how that change feels to them. Subtle connection. And this is where something subtle begins to happen. Your dog starts responding not to your behavior, but to the state behind your behavior. Not the action itself, but the continuity of it. Not the gesture, but the way it connects to the next one. This is why you can say the same word, in the same tone, and receive a different reaction. Why you can sit in the same place, at the same time, and still create a different atmosphere. Because what they're reading isn't fixed. It's dynamic, always shifting, always adjusting, always being interpreted in real time. Quiet moment. There's a quiet moment where all of this becomes visible, if you happen to notice it. You sit down somewhere familiar, maybe at the end of the day, when everything has slowed down. You're not calling your dog. You're not asking for anything. You're not initiating interaction. You're simply there, and after a few seconds, or sometimes a few minutes, your dog makes a choice. They come closer, not with urgency, not with excitement, not with expectation, but with a kind of quiet certainty. They settle near you, or beside you, or partially against you. Sometimes they don't even look at you. They just stay, and in that moment, it becomes clear that their decision wasn't triggered by anything you did. It was shaped by how your presence felt. Responding. That's what they're responding to. Not your voice, not your intention, not even your attention, but the consistency of your energy, the part of you that exists underneath all of those things. The part that doesn't need to be expressed, because it's already present in every movement, every pause, every still moment. And when that consistency is there, when your presence feels continuous, predictable, and easy to read, they don't hesitate. They don't test the moment. They don't hold back. They lean in. They settle. They stay longer than they need to. Next time. So the next time your dog reacts in a way that doesn't seem to have a clear cause, when they come closer unexpectedly or pull back without explanation, pause for a moment. Not to correct them, not to analyze them, but to notice yourself. Notice the rhythm of your movement, the way your actions connect or don't, the subtle shifts that happen before you're even aware of them. Because long before your dog understands your commands, long before they learn the words you choose to teach them, they've already understood something else, something quieter, something constant, something that never needed to be said at all.